We're entering a yin-yang world. It cannot just be black. It cannot just be white. That doesn't exist. It really is a gray. It's a purple. Back to the red and blue. It's a purple. We're entering a very purple state of consciousness where certain things don't have an answer, but your intuition can provide that answer. Your faith, your belief can provide that answer.
In nature, there is 3 gunas. And the gunas, there is sattva, is purity, light, and harmony. There is rajas, is passion or motion. And there is tamas, is darkness and inertia. So the nature is made by those 3 things.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So this is where those like ancient Indian wisdom starts to emerge. And of course, I think we spoke about this on another podcast, how all religions, at least visually the way I see it symbolistically, all religions are like spokes on a wheel. And the center of that wheel is a truth that I believe the ego can't comprehend. And some people have claimed or have experienced or have gotten close through enlightenment or nirvana or through out-of-body experiences. They've gotten close to that center or that truth. But I do think that truth is very hard to fathom. But on the spokes of those truths, those are the religions, from Hinduism to Buddhism, Christianity, Judaism, all these philosophies to try to help humans deal with suffering or deal with these emotional, this dimensional framework of how we're experiencing life. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how many layers and how complicated the technology for this experience that we have is. Reality is if reality is a simulation, it is wild.
Reality is a simulation. And I'm understanding more and more how we are just here to make the whole thing grow. We are. I mean, I want to hear your perspective on this, but I feel like we are only antennas that are connected to this whole consciousness that is only one thing, and we are basically doing life to learn, to bring information to this source, and to make it grow. And so basically we are all one thing and separated in a lot of little things. And we think we are one thing, but this is only because our educational system has taught us that. And I'm practicing more and more that I'm practicing more and more to identify myself to the outside world. I try to identify myself to the outside world. So, for example, I've started to practice yoga nidra, where people ask you to like put your awareness into your knee, put your awareness into your finger, put your awareness into this, that, so you can make your awareness travel in your body. And you can also make it travel outside of your body. If you're trying to visualize the angle of this room and try to see the room through the angle of this room, you can practice this. It's kind of tough, but at one point you can really feel you are at the angle of this room. You can feel that, and you forget about your body because you're there. And this is awareness. Your awareness went through the angle of the room, and you are not aware of your body anymore. If you think about this finger, you're going to be aware of this finger, and you won't be aware of this arm.
Wow. And imagine multiplying that and compounding that via meditation, via cosmic expansion. Because I think that ultimately is the very powerful point of consciousness, is that when you say that we're connected to this whole, this one whole, I would almost even say that it's not one consciousness. There this is where the brain can't even fathom it. There could be infinite amounts of consciousnesses. There could be an infinite amount of universes. So I mean, of course, universe means one verse. So it really goes to this concept of the multiverse. And perhaps as your awareness grows, you really do become aware of all of these layers of reality. So I think that's the reality, is that we're kind of experiencing life through our, as we just said, our individual perspective. But that individual perspective is truly an illusion.
It's an illusion. It's an illusion.
It's people. It's kind of like, this is where when the Beatles visited India, after they visited India, especially George Harrison, one of my favorite songs that he wrote, Within You Without You. Life goes on within you and without you. Those two lines to me,
and what people
so close to the truth.
And what people taught you at school, what your parents taught you, everything that you've learned when you were growing up, isn't the truth. It's just information.
It's a part of it.
It's informations, but the truth is within you.
Right, and that truth is within you and without you. Meaning it's going to continue with or without you. So while you're here with this window of perception or this window of awareness, this little minuscule window, and of course if we relate that to the theories of reincarnation that Indians really truly believe in too, even here in Vietnam, they believe in reincarnation. There's little gods in every single place or space. There are these little gods on the floor, little deities that they honor and they respect. So I think that is the human being. These are all indicators that I feel of evolution. And it's ironic that, like, in very developed Western civilizations, we've moved away from honoring the spirituality because of science. Ironically, science is very synonymous with atheism, right? Science believes cause and effect, provable, blah, blah, blah. It makes them feel uncomfortable when they encounter things that they cannot explain or they cannot prove. And this is very fascinating because I think we're entering the next 100 years of this reignition of the relationship between spirit and science. And for those of you still watching too, there's an amazing YouTube series called Spirit Science. They break down a lot of concepts in a very kind of cool animated way. But 10 years ago, I was watching videos like this, like Spirit Science. So I think we're going to enter this very, I guess, how do I say it? It's like, it's a very contradictory, it's not contradictory, what's the word I'm looking for? But it's like, we're entering a yin-yang world. It cannot just be black. It cannot just be white. That doesn't exist. It really is a gray. It's a purple. Back to the red and blue. It's a purple. We're entering a very purple state of consciousness where certain things don't have an answer, but your intuition can provide that answer. Your faith, your belief can provide that answer. And I think a big motivator of this new world is how connected we are all becoming. This is the first time, I think, at least in recorded history, everybody has the power of a God eye. It's kind of like a primitive God eye. It's like an omnipresence, the ability to type the word India on Instagram and I can look at 1,000 perspectives.
As you say, there's going to be this omnipresence, and we can reach this omnipresence, and this connection within all of us is already starting, but we're going to go, I think, through the whole connection through practices. And the practices of intuition is very important on a daily basis. So everyone who is listening, I really recommend every day, whatever you think is the right way to do, pick up this thing. whatever. Like right now, I'm trying really to live like that. If I have two roads, which one I feel is the most beautiful, which one I feel is the most looking better, I will pick up this one. I do this every time I go at the gym. Which shower is offering to me right now? Which shower looks the most beautiful to me right now? And that's the shower I gotta go. And so every little things you gotta do this, and this is how you will make action super easily. Super easily. You don't have to force things. If there is something that is going wrong, then put yourself in a calm state of mind and think about what can you do for this. And don't try to do things that you can do. Right? Don't try to. I give you a little example that is a little bit delicate, but yesterday I had an argument with my brother. Okay? I had a strong argument with my brother. And at the end of the argument, I was a little bit, annoyed by this and everything, but I was like, wait, actually this argument was made here today, and I gotta be super grateful for this, because I was about to like launch a new project and launch a new thing, and I gotta be very grateful for this argument, because he's telling me in advance that the collaboration with my brother may be tricky because we're not working in the same way. And I could see this directly with his argument yesterday. It was like black on white, written. And then after this, I was like, damn, thank you for this argument. This is the answer. This is the direct answer that the project I was envisioning may not be suitable for a collaboration within my brother.
That's interesting.
Every single things are answers.
And this reminds me again about, we were at ABS with Abiga and the Bhagavad. Remember how I mentioned that the Bhagavad reminds me of Chinese purple star astrology? And this goes back to, we had a conversation about this, and people, if you're listening, the Bhagavad or the purple star astrology, these are ancient forms of astrological chart reading where, based on your time of birth, your second of birth, where you're born, they have records and maps, astrological maps, to understand exactly what positions, stars, planetary bodies, constellations, what positions they all were in that moment that you were born and came into this earth. Based on where all of those planets, stars, etc. lie in the different houses and the different areas, it influences your ability to understand where you're going, where you come from. So in a way, it's like a forecast of someone's entire life. So you can kind of see, like in your 30 to 40s, this star is going to move into here, and then your career will get better, etc. And it can happen infinitely, right? So the masters of these astrological chart readings have the ability to forecast and to foresee entire lifespans of people, of civilizations. Imagine, it's never ending. It starts to turn into 4, 5, 6, maybe even 12 dimensions of understanding how things are moving, almost like a tesseract. But the reason I bring this up as you're having an argument with your brother, which is so funny, and I say this all the time, whether I'm going through it with my family, with my friends, with my girlfriend, whatever, we all go through moments of turbulence and turmoil. But I always try to remind the people around us, that it's actually not, it has nothing to do with what your ego thinks is happening. Because if you were to try to understand the science of that, and now this is where I think science is going to catch up, because there are things ancient wisdoms know already that science has not proven yet, so they don't admit that it's correct. But actually, when the Mars, people have their funny way of saying, like when Mercury is in retrograde, this and that, right? But it's so much more deep, it's so much more layered than that. The point is that when there are 1,000 planets in this position right now, this week, that position is creating an infinite amount of gravitational unseen forces, and it's affecting everything. It's like a matrix of, like, imagine just this network matrix mesh of influence. Now, imagine a human being, a tiny little bag of water and some bones, right? We're really just this like malleable stuff. We think we're solid. We think we're secure, but we're really just a little tiny guppy fish. You know, we're like a little guppy. You know those tiny fishes? Right. So imagine you're a little guppy. You're a little guppy, and there's something that's pushing currents your way. And all of a sudden you're swimming, you feel like you're swimming straight, and then boom, you get pushed this way. And you and me and your brother, my girlfriend, my mom, we all getting pushed this way, and it doesn't feel comfortable.
And at
We
the
don't
end,
know why.
and at the end, it comes back at the exact same thing. That's totally true what you say, and it come back at the exact same thing as we'd say at the beginning of the podcast. The In this argument situation, my ego wanted to win these arguments, and then I looked, and then I looked back, and then I looked back at it. I looked back at it. My ego was like, I want to win this argument. And I look back in a deeper way of it, and it's like, no, actually, I should not win this argument. I want to be out of it, and I want to win the knowledge that our collaboration with my brother may be not the best way to do.
Maybe it's not the time.
It's a
Maybe it's
win.
not right now.
It's a win for me.
Because the currents.
It's a win. I've learned. I've
remember
learned.
we spoke to Dr. Ravi, and he said in ancient times the Indian kings and the warlords and the commanders would consult the astrologists to decide on the best day for battle or the best day to create. So they're trying to be in harmony with this orchestra happening. So even right now, as you have an argument with your brother, or I have an argument with
Anyone has
my
an
loved
argument.
ones.
Yeah.
With
Mine
anyone.
is just a little detail, and we are good right now. We ended very nicely.
Exactly. Point is, it's not really personal, but we have to remember that we are all being affected by something that we cannot see. And there are going to be moments where like maybe we're tense, or we're less patient, or we're more stubborn, or we're more agitated. Sometimes we got to take a step back and be like, there's some kind of current happening. Let's come back to this. And that's very hard to do, right? Because that ego wants to hold on.
It's a practice. It's a practice.
We all have it. We all have it.
It's an everyday practice. It's a daily practice. If something making you tense, if something make someone annoyed because it's not the way he wants to be, just let it go. Because there's something better. There's something better. You don't gotta take this. You gotta go through something else. And this is learned through experiences. Right. Through experiences. Right. When I wanted, like my biggest thing, and I told my mom yesterday about this, my biggest time when I've learned that it was when I wanted to, it was a big business issue, like 2 years ago, big business problem for me. It was not a problem. Right. It was but in my head, like 2-3 weeks, 1 month, I never be that much annoyed by this big business problem. But at the end, my mom was keep repeating me, it's okay, no problem, no worries. And at the end, I took it that way. I was like, okay, now I let it go. I let go this problem, and I look for what is offering to me right now. And boom, offering a whole new path of experiences that I'm so grateful for. And I'm so glad that I didn't took the path of the other business. I'm so glad I took this one. And that was just a book that was offering to me, and I can read, okay, this is not feeling good, I don't take this. This is feeling good, I take this.
Right, and the more conscious we are of that, the more we develop the intuition on it. And sometimes there are moments too where that feeling or that emotion can lead you in ways that might not be good for you. So it's always that constant conversation of like challenge and test, because when we take in elements of discipline or commitment or perseverance or grit and resiliency, sometimes there are going to be things that do want to push you in all terms of directions, and you do have to be that rock in the current, that rock in the river, and you do have to stick to it. So that's always that conversation. But deep down,
and
you can
take the worst
yourself.
And you can take the worst case ever, let's say, and that's, I think that's key. Let's say tomorrow you got hit by a bus, okay? You got hit by a bus, you passed away. This is a blessing. In our Western culture, we're gonna be like, oh, that's terrible, that's a drama, that's a tragedy, and people are gonna suffer of this for decades, for months, for like years. They're gonna suffer of your lust. They're gonna suffer that. But in order, if you change your perspective of this and you understand that this is a reincarnation system and that the bus hit you for some reason because you were this at this moment and the bus was here at that moment, this is to liberate yourself and to go straight to heaven for a short amount of time and then come back to life for a new purpose or accomplish the same purpose you were doing at the beginning, but in a better condition. And better condition doesn't mean better money. That's what I asked my mom. I was like, I asked my mom why karma. The karma is why rich people are sometimes not nice, often not nice. A lot of rich people are, not really nice. I was like, why? If karma is, if you reincarnate in a better condition, why is that way? And she was like, because the money and the happiness is not linked. So you can have an amazing life doing all the positive thing you can, have an amazing karma, and reincarnate in a slum in Bombay, because that's where you're going to have so much more happiness than in your 5-star hotel with a bunch of white people that are complaining every day.
That's funny.
But this is truth.
Yo,
this is truth. People in Bombay.
That's an interesting way to look at it. You imagine you do so good in this life that your reincarnation in the next life is in the slums.
But and I think
that's a good life.
Yes, and I think that's what's may happen, because if you are having a life where you, for example, you don't care about anyone.
That's a crazy way to flip it. The punishment is being reincarnated into a rich. The punishment is reincarnated into the rich family.
Yes, and money and happiness is not linked. Karma does not promise you money. Karma promises you a better life.
Money is just a created board game of the recent X amount of thousands of years. It's just a created game that humans decided to create together and enforce, right? But the universe, the earth, it's so much older. I mean, that's why I shout out Paul Rosalie, the guy who's living in the rainforest, in the Amazonian rainforest, and he talks about these trees that are 1,000 years old. And to think that the tree has been growing that whole time while, hundreds of thousands of humans lived and died, laughed and cried. And all the while, this tree is just growing. Just growing. Not a care for anything else. Just growing. Its only goal is to find a better position to absorb more light, to have its roots go deeper, to absorb more water. So it can be, imagine, and even imagine the symbolism of the tree. Like how perfect, like you see hands up for light, hands down for water. Like, right? Like that is where you want to be. That's the sweet spot, right? And you see that symbolism. Energy's coming in, coming out, and you know that geometry is very powerful. That's the apple, right? That kind of coming in like this, coming out, right? So I think, why do we talk about all this? People tuning in, why do me and Armel go into these kind of philosophical, spiritual, intuition, discoveries? Ultimately, at least I hope, and for you viewers watching, I hope it allows you to be more, excited to just live, to feel more free, even when shit's not going your way, even when shit is, you still have energy, you still have passion, you still feel like it's gonna be all right, you're gonna be good, things will work its way out, the trees will still be here,
And today we're releasing episode 21 with Tina Fong. I think this is one of my favorite episodes since the beginning. We released on Beyond the Hustle. If you haven't checked it out yet, go check out Beyond the Hustle on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere.
Nice.
Today, episode 21, Tina Fong.
October 29.
And she's talking about
October 29.
She's talking about love over fear. and check it out. And whenever you feel fear, just switch it to love, and you will figure it out what's coming up after that. You feel fear, you're gonna attract what you're fearing. You were having love, then it's powerful. The power of thoughts is so powerful. Anyway, Ivan Huang, my boy, I think today we covered a really, really big and important aspect of life, which is what is behind the mind. Who is listening to the mind?
Awareness, ego, perspective,
consciousness,
right? Exactly.
Money.
What is pulling the strings? What is really pulling the strings?
But we have so much
more and more we realize it's not you pulling the strings. It's not me pulling the strings. And the more you realize that as a person, the more you let go.
And for people that are very beginning this journey, that's why when you read any book or anything, there is the self with the big S, because they're talking about your higher self. It's not your physical self. The self, my with the big M, is what is behind me. It's not my mental. It's not my body. I am the infinite consciousness that is experiencing life through this body right now. But next life, I might experience it through a bird or through a tree.
Right.
And I will learn, what I need to learn to grow the way I need to grow.
The windows are infinite, but while you're in this window, try to keep the glass clean. Try to keep it nice and clean, so we can get more light through.
Remove the clouds, and that's it. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. I am not, we are the same people talking to each other right now. I am you, you are me, and that's it.
Right. And even as me and Armel are talking to each other,
we make ourselves grow. We make the things grow.
We make ourselves grow. And you who are listening might be listening to us, and me and Armel might have been passed away for 1,000 years already. So we hope these messages resonate with you regardless. And whatever value you derive from these messages, we can only hope and wish that it allows you to tap into what you feel gives you energy and power and abundance.
For real. Don't look outside, look inside. My boy, I gotta head out. I think we gotta shoot out another episode in India before I get in the ashram. But
for sure,
we shoot another one. We have so much things to say. 50 minutes. I was saying 30 minutes. It's an hour podcast right now. Maybe I cut it in two. Who knows? We wanna, because I'm gonna have the 1 month in the temple where I will have no phone, no Wi-Fi, nothing. Right. And I hope I can prove to other people that there's no problem in life. I can cut off my phone and my computer. I'm running a business, like it's important. I have a lot of clients and everything. I want to cut off everything, and I want to get back after this month better than I left before.
Right.
While still providing service to the clients.
Right.
Yeah. So
we'll all be fine.
Yeah, we'll all be fine. All right, Ivan. I wish you an amazing day in Vietnam. Eat some banh mi for me. Eat some pho. Get some good food. Yeah.
All in the same day.
Yeah. Enjoy your day, my boy.
Sir.
See you, King.
You too.
Bye-bye.
See you on the other side, brother.
Bye-bye.
Peace.